Hello and welcome to this practice session for the California Class A CDL test, General Knowledge. We are covering some of the most critical safety and operational rules for commercial drivers. A fully loaded rig takes how much longer to stop than a car? 2 to 4 times longer. A fully loaded commercial vehicle requires a much greater distance to stop due to its massive weight and momentum. Ready for the next one. What is the minimum tread depth for steering axle tires? 432-inch. Federal regulations require a minimum tread depth of 4/32 of an inch for steering axle tires to maintain control. Let's move ahead. What is the minimum PSI for the air brake system to be safe for driving? 100 PSI. Most systems are designed to operate safely between 100 PSI and 125 PSI. Any lower pressure is considered unsafe. Time for a new question. How much slack should you allow in a coupling or kingpin? No more than a ½ inch. Excessive slack can cause severe jarring and damage to the coupling system and the vehicle frame. Moving along. What must you check after coupling a tractor and a semi-trailer? That the landing gear is fully raised and secured. The landing gear must be fully cranked up and the handle locked in place to prevent it from dragging. Let's take on the next one. When should you downshift a manual transmission before a hill? Before starting down a hill. Downshifting before the descent allows you to use engine braking, which saves your service brakes from overheating. Next question. What is hydroplaning? When tires lose contact with the road due to water. Hydroplaning occurs when a wedge of water lifts the tires off the pavement, causing a complete loss of traction and steering control. On to the next topic. How long should you look ahead when driving at freeway speeds? 12 to 15 seconds. Looking 12 to 15 seconds ahead provides enough time to identify hazards and react safely. Let's see this one. What is the first step when performing a pre-trip inspection? Review the last vehicle inspection report. Checking the previous report ensures that any defects noted were corrected and that the vehicle is ready for the road. Ready for another one. How do you check that the spring brakes come on automatically? Pump the brake pedal until air pressure drops to 20 to 45 psi. The spring brakes should engage automatically or pop out when the air pressure falls within this critical range. Let's move ahead. What is the proper procedure for checking slack adjusters? Pull hard on each slack adjuster to ensure it moves no more than 1 inch. Movement greater than 1 inch indicates that the brakes are out of adjustment and must be fixed. Time for a new question. If the oil pressure gauge does not come up to normal within a few seconds of starting the engine, what should you do? Shut the engine off immediately. Low oil pressure can lead to catastrophic engine damage very quickly, so immediate shutdown is required. Moving along, what is the best way to handle a tire blowout? Hold the steering wheel firmly, stay off the brakes, and let the vehicle slow down. Maintaining a firm grip and avoiding the brakes helps keep the vehicle under control as it decelerates naturally. Let's take on the next one. If you're driving a tank vehicle, what is the main hazard of having liquid surge? It can push the vehicle in the direction of the surge, affecting handling. The movement of liquid in a tank surge can create strong forces that push the vehicle, making steering and braking difficult. Next question. The service brake is the one you use for stopping the vehicle. The service brake is the pedal you press to slow and stop the vehicle during normal operation. On to the next topic. Why is it important to check the fifth wheel skid plate? To ensure it is properly greased. Proper greasing allows the trailer to slide freely and turn smoothly, reducing stress on the coupling and tractor. Let's see this one. When checking your wheel bearing seals, you should look for leaking grease. Leaking grease is a sign of a bad seal and a loss of lubricant, which can lead to overheating and wheel failure. Ready for another one. What is the maximum height limit for a vehicle in California unless posted otherwise? 14 feet. The maximum height in California is 14 feet, which is higher than the federal standard or many other state limits. Let's move ahead. When driving in very hot weather, you should check your tires every 2 hours or every 100 miles. High temperatures increase tire pressure and the risk of a blowout, requiring more frequent checks. Time for a new question. What is the main purpose of the trailer hand valve? To test the trailer brakes. The hand valve, or trolley valve, is primarily used to apply the trailer brakes only, allowing the driver to test them separately. Moving along. When starting down a steep hill, what is the best speed control technique? Use a gear low enough that you don't need to press the brake pedal too often. Engine braking through a low gear is the safest method to control speed on a downgrade without overheating the service brakes. Let's take on the next one. When conducting an air brake leak test, the air loss rate for a combination vehicle, engine off, brakes released, should not be more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Any air loss greater than 3 psi per minute indicates a significant leak that must be repaired. Next question. If you're being tailgated, you should increase your following distance. Increasing the distance between you and the vehicle ahead gives you more time to react and stop gradually, protecting you from the tailgater. On to the next topic. How do you know when to shift up? Using the tachometer and the speedometer. Using both engine speed, tachometer, and road speed, speedometer, allows for efficient and appropriate gear changes. Let's see this one. How often should you check your mirrors for a lane change? Before you signal, after you signal, and immediately before changing lanes. This 3-step check ensures the path is clear before, during, and at the moment of the lane change. Ready for another one. Which of these items is not part of a proper air brake pre-trip inspection? Checking the power steering fluid. Power steering fluid is part of the general vehicle inspection, but it is not specifically a component of the air brake system check. Let's move ahead. You should use your low beams when you are within how many feet of an oncoming vehicle? 500 feet. This is the standard rule for when to dim your high beams to prevent blinding oncoming traffic. Time for a new question. When uncoupling a trailer, after shutting off the trailer air supply, what is the next step? Disconnect the safety chain's cables. The air must be off and the trailer brakes set before the physical disconnection of the chain's cables. Moving along. When driving at night, if you are blinded by an oncoming vehicle's lights, you should look to the right edge of your lane. Looking to the right edge helps you maintain your lane position without staring directly into the blinding lights. Let's take on the next one. Which type of fire extinguisher is best for electrical fires? Type C or BC? Type C is specifically for electrical fires. Type BC is for liquid and electrical fires. Next question. What should you do if your trailer begins to skid? Ease off the accelerator and use the handbrake if necessary to straighten the trailer. Gently slowing down and using the hand valve to lightly brake the trailer tires can help pull the trailer back in line. On to the next topic. The most common cause of commercial vehicle rollovers is driving too fast for the curve. High center of gravity in CMVs makes them highly susceptible to rollover if the speed is too high during a turn. Let's see this one. You must stop within what distance of the nearest rail when the crossing gate is up, but a train is approaching? 15 to 50 feet. This distance ensures you are far enough from the tracks to be safe, but close enough to confirm the track is clear if the train passes. Ready for another one. If you cannot see the driver in your side mirror, the driver cannot see you. This is the fundamental rule for blind spots. If you can't see them, assume they can't see you. Let's move ahead. Why should you never pump the brake pedal on a vehicle with air brakes? It can cause you to lose air pressure faster than the compressor can replace it. Pumping the brakes rapidly releases air pressure from the reservoirs, which can quickly lead to a loss of all braking power. Time for a new question. When inspecting your lug nuts, you should check for rust trails indicating they are loose. Rust trails or shiny metal streaks around the lug nuts are a visual sign that they have been moving, indicating they are loose. Moving along. What is the proper technique for testing the parking brake? Put the vehicle in a low gear and gently tug against the brake. This test confirms that the parking brake can hold the vehicle against the engine's power, which is how it should function. Let's take on the next one. How do you find out how much weight your vehicle can legally carry? Check the registration or owner's manual. The legal and manufacturer recommended weight limits, GVWR, GCWR, are found in the vehicle's official documentation. Next question. How far ahead should you place warning triangles if you stop on the side of a highway? 10 feet, 100 feet, and 200 feet. These mandatory distances set by regulation ensure adequate warning for traffic approaching from either direction. On to the next topic. What is the term for backing a vehicle in a curved path towards the driver's side? Sight side backing. This term describes backing where the driver can see the entire maneuver using the side mirror, which is generally the preferred method. Let's see this one. Why is it important to use a low gear when going down a steep grade? To use the engine's compression to help control speed and save the brakes. The engine's resistance provides engine braking, keeping speed in check without relying solely on the service brakes, preventing fade. Ready for another one. If your anti-lock braking system, ABS light comes on while driving, it means the ABS is not working, but you still have normal braking ability. The warning light indicates an ABS fault, but the standard service brakes will still function for safe stopping. Let's move ahead. What is the proper procedure for securing a parked combination vehicle? Apply the tractor parking brake and trailer air supply control. Applying both ensures the trailer's spring brakes are set via the air supply control, and the tractor is held by its own parking brake. Time for a new question. When driving in fog, you should use your low beam headlights. Low beams point down, limiting reflection off the fog, while high beams reflect brightly and blind the driver. Moving along. When must you inspect the load you are carrying? Before you drive within the first 50 miles and every 150 miles or 3 hours thereafter. Cargo securement is a critical safety factor requiring an initial check and continuous monitoring throughout the trip. Let's take on the next one. What is the purpose of a modulating control valve? It allows you to control the spring brakes in an emergency in identical case. This valve lets the driver control the application of the spring emergency brakes in a measured way, rather than having them slam on. Next question. What is the correct way to hold the steering wheel when driving a commercial vehicle? Both hands on opposite sides of the wheel. This 9 and 3 or 10 and 2 hand position gives you the most control for evasive maneuvers. On to the next topic. What is the most important reason for a proper pre-trip inspection? To ensure the vehicle is safe to operate. The ultimate goal is to identify and correct defects before they cause an accident. Let's see this one. What is a safety valve in the air brake system set to open at? 150 psi. The safety valve protects the system from excessive pressure by releasing air if the tank pressure exceeds 150 psi. Ready for another one. How should you check the coupling of a trailer to the tractor? Gently pull forward against the locked trailer brakes. This tug test confirms that the locking jaws are secured around the kingpin and the trailer will not separate.